All right, Ole Miss fans, we got to have a conversation. We got to have a quick conversation with you guys because this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. It is. I don't know what it is about Ole Miss playing down to their competition, but this is what they do. Ole Miss has all the talent. This is probably the most talented Ole Miss team we've seen since, ironically, the 2015 or 2016 football teams, where they had great defensive lines. The great defensive lines. Their defenses were pretty strong, high-powered offenses, and yet Ole Miss is playing either in a New Year's Six bowl game or they're like 8-4 or 9-3. Like, this is what Ole Miss does. They do this every single year. They get up for the big games. They play high to their competition at particular times. Now, do they win them all? No, because they may play in a lot of competitive games, but they will lose those games in particular. But a lot of people felt like this year was different because they beat Georgia, right? They beat Georgia. They crushed Georgia. That's the worst loss Georgia has suffered, I want to say, since I think that's worse than when they lost to us in the SEC championship game back in 2021. I mean, quite frankly, yeah, you make an argument it's the worst loss that Kirby Smart has suffered since they got blown out by Auburn back in 2017. Or no, I'll say in 2019 2019 or COVID time when they lost to Florida. But that's it. Ole Miss, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand how you lose this football game. Yes, the Swamp is a very difficult place to play. Yes, Florida has been on a roll. But you had to win this football game. If you would have just did your duty, went out. I mean, you played Mississippi State, I think, the next week. Or I'm not too entirely sure about Ole Miss's schedule, but I do know this. I mean, there wasn't really any ranked opponents left on Ole Miss's schedule. And so if you would have won this game and just went out, you're in the playoffs. Are you in the SC championship game? Most likely not. But you're playing in the first round. And Ole Miss actually had a really good team this year. Right? You had the high explosive offense. I think Trey Harris he's not done for the season. So at some particular point, he would have came back to make the offense that much better. You got the weapons on the outside. You got the running game. You got the offensive line. You definitely got, I mean, you have a top 10 defensive line in the country. You know, you have 2 first-round prospects in Walter Nolan and Princely. How the hell, I mean, you spent all that money in the transfer portal to get these players. You got the quarterback in Jackson Dart, and you still can't find a way to beat Florida. You still can't find a way to win these games. But this is what Ole Miss do. Lose to Kentucky, right? Lose to Kentucky, not lose to Florida. Lose to subpar football teams. Now, it's the SEC. It's extremely tough. It's extremely difficult to play in a week in, a week out basis. But at some point, man, like, Ole Miss, you have to question Lane Kiffin. Now, you're not going to fire Lane Kiffin because Lane Kiffin's the best coach you've had since Hugh Freeze, and that really isn't saying that much because Hugh Freeze's biggest accomplishment was just beating Bama back-to-back years. But arguably, Lane Kiffin has been a more successful coach. I mean, quite frankly, I mean, Lane Kiffin might be the best coach in the program's history, and that's not really saying that damn much. But at some point, you have to question this. You have to question this coach because he cannot win these big games. He can't beat these teams when it matters the most. When when they are the favorite, when their backs, are not up against the wall, they just crumble under the pressure. Like, it's crazy to me, man, how just subpar this football team can get when they play down to their competition. So, Ole Miss, your season's over. Like, it's done. Your season is over. You can finish the season 9-3. You won't be playing in a New Year's Six bowl. You may play in the Texas Bowl or the Frosted. I don't know what bowl game you're going to be playing in, but I doubt that a lot of your players are going to play in that game anyway. They'll probably sit out if they're draft eligible, or they'll probably transfer somebody else somewhere else. And then you'll bring in a whole bunch of new set of transfers, and we'll have to go in this merry round again. The only positive thing that I can say about it is that I think Ole Miss has kind of mastered the transfer game. Right? The last couple of years, they've done a really, really good job with the transfer portal. They've had some decent recruiting classes overall, and they've kept some of those guys in place, but they've done a really good job in terms of picking the right players for this team to be successful. But, I mean, where has it gotten you? I mean, yes, you won a lot of games, but where has it gotten you? Seriously, like, where has it gotten you? It has gotten you nowhere. The best thing that it has done for them is that they beat Ohio State. Or, no, they didn't beat Ohio State. Who did they beat? No, Penn State. They beat Penn State, in a New Year's Six bowl game that quite frankly, no one gave a shit about. No one cared about it. So, I don't know, Ole Miss. I mean, if this was any year for this team to compete for a national championship, this was going to be the year. Because you had arguably the best offense in the SEC. You actually had a defensive line this year that can stop the run and get after the quarterback, and you blew it. You had the keys, you had the recipe, and you fucked it up. You still managed to fuck it up and not follow directions on the recipe. So this is what you get, Ole Miss. This is exactly what you get. Florida, this is a huge win for Billy Napier. Sunbelt Billy. Let me tell you something. He's now 6-5. He's now gotten this Florida fan base. It's a lot of hope now in Billy Napier. DJ Lagway once again played really well. This is going to be a football team they crushed LSU and now they beat Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is a way better football team than LSU is. But but I don't know. Can I say? No. LSU beat them. I don't know, man. Ole Miss, look at Ole Miss's losses. Look at their losses. They have just lost to subpar competition. It's insane. LSU. LSU, who do they lose to? I just said it. Kentucky. And now Florida. It's crazy. Crazy. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Again, we play Oklahoma. Hopefully I don't eat my own damn words, but this is why I'm not high on Alabama to just crush Oklahoma. I'm expecting a close, competitive, hard-fought game. But, yeah, Ole Miss, you fucked it up. You fucked it up once again, and now you're going to have to sit home with no playoff appearance another year when you had all the keys. You had it. You had the recipe in your hands, and you still managed to mess it up somehow.